and housekeeping information. So the presentation will be 45 to 60 minutes long, and then we'll have a 30 minutes Q&A session. So if you have any questions during the presentation related to the content, you can type in the questions. So if you move your mouse at the bottom, you can see a Q&A box. So you can click on that, and you can type any questions you have, and we can take those questions in the Q&A part. The next thing is the session will be recorded and will later be posted on Brazeau County YouTube channel. And lastly, our feedback survey. So as you sign off from this session, you will be directed for a quick short survey. So please take a few minutes to complete the survey and let us know how we did today. Next slide, please. So I would like to start off by sharing a bit about Brazeau County. Brazeau County is a vibrant and growing community of over 7,000 residents. It's located in the west central Alberta and an hour from the Edmonton International Airport. Brazeau County has a great natural resources and a strong economy that is based on the natural resources that are found in the region. And it has lots to offer for recreation and leisure activities as well for both summer and winter, like horse riding, camping, snowmobiling, and whatnot. Next slide, please. Next, we have a quick summary of the solar project that has been completed by the county over the last few years. So Brazeau County has been a leader in implementing solar projects. County has capitalized on federal and provincial funding opportunities to support the successful deployment of these projects and use renewable power to support its building needs. Over the last few years, we have completed 5 solar projects, which includes 3 rooftop and 2 ground mount. Altogether combined, we have a total installed capacity of 347 kilowatt DC. As of September, we have generated over 1,723 megawatt of renewable electricity, which has not only helped us to cut on our operations cost, but have also offsetted over 900 tons of CO2 emissions. Next slide, please. So this is a quick snapshot of the 5 projects that we have in our county. The largest is on our administration building, which is of 245 kilowatt. And our smallest is in Lodgepole, on Lodgepole Fire Hall for 9.3 kilowatts. Our most recent project was in Violet Grove, where we installed a ground mount system to support the power of another sustainable project of floating wetlands. Next slide, please. So now I would like to introduce our presenter for today's presentation. So first we have on the left-hand side is Alex. Alex is a board of director with Solar Alberta and a partner at Tenet Power. Prior to joining Tenet Power, Alex served as a supervising engineer at NMAX and vice president in deals at PwC. Alex's previous experience includes senior roles with TC Energy, Capital Power, Government of Alberta. He has over 20 years of experience in the electricity industry and is passionate about the adopting of solar technology for Alberta's clean energy future. Alex is a chartered financial analyst, a registered professional engineer, and a certified project management professional. And our second presenter is Mackenzie Welder. Mackenzie is the public outreach lead for Solar Alberta. In this position, she manages an annual online solar conference, trade shows, in-person networking events, lunch and learn webinar series, social media platforms, which has engaged over 10,000 followers. While working at Solar Alberta, she is also pursuing her post-secondary education as in business administration. Mackenzie prides herself on her social and climate justice advocacy. A Fort McMurray resident, Mackenzie has spent years serving her community in various ways, including volunteering for and leading social justice clubs and initiatives, and she also volunteers in not-for-profit sector. So without any further ado, I will invite Alex and Mackenzie to walk us through this presentation and share how Albertans can benefit from solar. Over to you guys.
Thanks for the introduction, and thank you for inviting us to speak today. My name is Mackenzie, and as mentioned, I'm the Public Outreach Lead at Solar Alberta. Before we begin, in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to take a minute to respectfully acknowledge that I'm presenting today from Fort McMurray, Alberta, which is located on Treaty 8 territory and the homelands of the Métis. Treaty 8 territory is the gathering place and home of many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree and Dene. These peoples have cared for and nurtured these lands since time immemorial.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting us, and really pleasure to be here. My name is Alex Koo, and I'm one of the volunteer board of directors at Solar Alberta. I would like to take a minute to acknowledge that I'm presenting to you today from Calgary, Alberta, which is located on Treaty 7 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation, Alberta, Region 3. Treaty 7 territory is a traditional gathering place and a home of many Indigenous peoples, including the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siska, Kainai, Piikani, as well as the Latinx, Nakota, and Sioux-Ina nations whose ancestor has cared for and nurtured this land since time immemorial. Today, we'll give you a brief overview of different aspects of installing solar on your home, business, or farms in Alberta. And then we are looking forward to answer your questions.
To begin, we are pleased to share that this is Solar Alberta's 31st year of operation. Solar Alberta is a not-for-profit society that is dedicated to accelerating Alberta's transition to a just and sustainable energy future. We do so by advocating, educating, and serving as an industry and community hub for solar energy. Our membership is made up of over 340 individuals and businesses.
We provide a number of services, including managing a solar directory and solar maps through our website. In addition to our website services, we run a number of educational programs, such as professional development classes for the solar industry, a public solar webinar series on a number of Thursdays over the lunch hour, as well as an incredible annual solar show, which is an online conference and trade show for the public and professionals alike. We will be hosting a seminar on November 17th about the elements of developing a large solar project on otherwise undevelopable lands. Recordings of 2021 and 2022 solar show can be found on our website, solaralberta.ca, and please mark February 6 to 10 in your calendar for our next one. Associated sponsorships available now, should you be interested. Stay tuned to our social media and newsletter for information about our upcoming events.
We would like to take this opportunity to encourage you to join Solar Alberta as a member. We are constantly evolving our member service offerings, some of which you can see listed on your screen. Our individual membership is $35 a year and can be purchased at solaralberta.ca. Up on this slide, you can see a presentation outline for the next 30 minutes or so. First, we will begin by giving a general overview of solar in Alberta. Alberta is quite different than other provinces, so you need to get a sense for our province in particular. Then we'll talk about how solar impacts your finances and your bills. We will then discuss how to find a solar installer. And of course, we'll talk about how to finance your solar project, what those financing options are, because they actually change almost daily now. Then we'll dive into a Q&A.
Now that you know more about Solar Alberta, I'd like to introduce some information about how solar arrays in Alberta work in general, the different types of solar systems, and some of the solar trends we are seeing in Alberta. People used to see solar as a risky investment, but now it's viewed as a logical and necessary component of our energy sector that will continue to grow in usage and market share. This shift in perception is demonstrated by the impressive growth the solar industry has experienced in Alberta. When we talk about the recent growth of solar in Alberta, we are talking about the solar photovoltaic, or PV, and not solar thermal. Solar PV harnesses the sun's light to produce electricity, while solar thermal harnesses the sun's heat, usually to heat water. Solar PV is really taking off in Alberta, and it works well in northern climate because solar PV actually have better production in the cold. Alberta is home to a range of PV systems, and anything under 5 megawatt is considered microgeneration in Alberta, which leaves a lot of room for variety. We have all likely to start a solar array or two on the home in your neighborhood. This residential system is very small, at around 5 kilowatt. Microgeneration arrays under 150 kilowatt are considered small. A large microgeneration system, often called commercial system, can power business or not-for-profit. Here are some of the examples of large-scale commercial microgeneration system around Alberta. First, we have a Genesis Place in Airdrie, which is installed on the recreational center. Canmore Collier High School is just one example of many schools that are choosing to install solar. Freedom Cannabis in Atchison is one of the largest rooftop arrays in the country. Something we got a lot of calls at Solar Alberta is solar at farms, like this one in Linden. Many farm systems also include energy storage and heat or cooling pumps. Per the government of Alberta's microgeneration regulation, all microgeneration in Alberta, whether residential or commercial, must be sized to produce equal to or less than annual on-site electricity consumption. Microgenerators are not permitted to produce and sell solar power for profit.
So let's talk about the impressive growth of microgeneration in Alberta over the past 7 years. As you can see, we only had about 5 megawatts of solar on the grid in 2015, but now we have over 143 megawatts of installed solar microgeneration capacity. Currently, we have over 9,300 solar systems in Alberta. You can also see that there has been a jump in large-scale microgeneration installations, particularly starting in 2019. This is due to the rise in large commercial scale projects, such as the ones that Alex mentioned in the previous slide. Solar projects between 1 and 5 megawatts were enabled under amendments to the microgeneration regulation in Alberta in 2016, which opened up more opportunities for the industry.
Well, our microgen growth is impressive. The big story in Alberta these days is actually utility scale solar. Systems that have the capacity to generate more than 5 megawatt of energy are classified at utility scale. All the yellow dots on this map shows planned utility scale solar farms in our area. In January 2020, Alberta had 117 megawatt of utility scale solar generating capacity. By October of this year, that has increased to 1,000 megawatt. This is up by over 100 megawatt since May 2022. And as of October 2022, solar farms are anticipated to add over 11,400 megawatt more generation capacity by 2025. Additional projects are being announced regularly because there's something of a gold rush to capitalize on Alberta's good solar land right now. While microgeneration systems are not allowed to sell power they produce, utility-scale solar producers can participate in Alberta's energy-only market and sell the clean power they produce, either directly to the grid or through a power purchase agreement to a large buyer, such as RBC or Alberta. Utility-scale PV system installations are highly regulated, and many land, environmental impact, and other studies must be conducted before developing can start. So while permitting for microgen system might take anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months, utility scale systems often take 2 or more years to develop. The number of projects that have recently been announced is truly not astonishing, but solar still make up only about 5% of Alberta's total electricity generation capacity. And all renewables make up approximately 25% of, excuse me, of our generation capacity. We have a long way to go to meet the net zero goal.
In addition to microgeneration and utility scale solar projects, the community solar space is also emerging in Alberta. Community generation is where a group of people come together and invest in a solar development that is not on their own property. A number of cooperatives and Indigenous nations are leading the charge with community generation in Alberta. Here's the Métis Crossing Solar Farm, a 4.86 megawatt community solar installation in collaboration among the Métis Nation of Alberta, the town of Smoky Lake, and Smoky Lake County. While community generation is still in its early stages here in Alberta, it has the potential to allow apartment dwellers, renters, and others who don't have solar appropriate roof an opportunity to use solar power.
There are a wide variety of solar PV projects taking shape on farms across the country today. There are essentially two broad categories of solar on farms. There are solar exclusive farms that are typically on brownfield or areas that do not have great land for farming. And then there are agrivoltaic system, which is a practice of combining solar PV with food production. There are also different ownership structure for solar on farms, including some on which the land and solar array are both owned by the same organization, and those on which the land is leased from owner other than the solar installation company. We have a free webinar on our website about Inisfall Solar and Sheep Farm that use this lease model to take root. Solar can be integrated on all sorts of farms, including those producing honey, wine, and herbs, as well as those with livestock. In fact, on some farms, solar PV is being used to protect sheep, cows, and other animals from hail and other increasingly hostile weather in Alberta. Not only can solar PV coexist with and protect livestock and crops, the land under a round solar array often maintains its moisture better and can be used to create pollinator gardens and grow perennial grasses. I was reading an interesting article the other day that explained that these grasses can then help stormwater filter slowly into the soil, which in turn can reduce runoff and erosion. These roots apparently can also trap excess fertilizer from nearby farm field before runoff into stream and river. So there's also something to be said for integrating solar into windrows and around farms. Agrivoltaic, the blending of solar with food production, is highly recommended for all those worried about food security. Some municipalities are in fact requiring the integration of crop and livestock farming alongside with solar and establish solar siting guidelines before allowing solar development to take place on good farmland.
So you might be asking, why all the buzz about solar in Alberta these days? And that's why we like to show this picture to explain that buzz. Of course, there are many reasons why Alberta has become the solar powerhouse of Canada. But you can see on this map from the Government of Canada, Alberta is next only to Saskatchewan in terms of solar PV generating potential. And that is a big reason why we are having such growth. We are also the only province in Canada where a private solar power developer can sell power directly to customers through a power purchase agreement. And so that is attracting a lot of investors to the province.
So let's talk more about how solar generation works in Alberta on a typical home. I think lots of you have probably seen this image or something similar, so I'll cover it quickly. First, sunlight hits the solar panels that are installed on your home. In the northern hemisphere, south-facing roof gets the best sun, but east and west-facing roof also work. The PV panels convert sunlight into DC, direct current electricity. This electricity travels to the inverter, which convert the DC electricity into AC, alternative current electricity that the home uses. This electricity feeds into the home's main electrical panel. From there, the electricity generated by solar system can go in one of two directions. If your home is not consuming lots of energy, for example, 10 in the morning with no one is in the home, electricity can go back to the main power grid because it isn't being used by the household. This will show up as a credit on your electricity bill. If your house is using lots of energy, for example, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you get home, turn on the lights, and start making dinner. The electricity from the solar system will be used to power everything that's using electricity in your home at that time. Since this electricity is coming directly from your solar system rather than the electricity grid, you aren't being charged for that electricity. When you get solar, you get a bi-directional meter, which keeps tracking both electricity taken from the grid as well as electricity put into the grid. Currently, you cannot have a solar system installed in your home that produces more energy than you consume in a year. For example, if your household currently consumes 5,000 kilowatt a year, you cannot install a solar system that produces more than that. A common question that people have is, will solar get me off the grid? In Alberta, your home is almost always remain connected to the utility grid. This allows the grid to serve as a backup electricity source that will supply you with electricity when you need more power than your system produces. For instance, at night, when it's cloudy, or during the winter months. This grid connection is important for ensuring a reliable electricity supply. I think it's time for us to transition to a fun part, the finances and how folks can save some dollars.
So let's talk finances. Here in Alberta, you can choose your retail electric provider. So the cost of electricity will depend on the retailer. We can choose the regulated rate through EPCOR and MAX, or you can seek a competitive price retailer, such as an energy cooperative. All retailers will offer different rates. To shop around for an affordable rate, Albertans can use the Utilities Consumer Advocates Cost Comparison Tool. It lays out all the different retailers available in Alberta and their different rates. Getting solar for your home will reduce two utility bill components. First, it will reduce the amount you pay for electricity or energy used. With a properly sized system, over the course of the year, you can save close to 100% of the energy charge component. This is the amount that the power company will no longer get paid, given that they are no longer making your electricity. The credits generated in the summer will offset your winter months when you are importing and buying electricity from your retailer. Second, solar will reduce the variable component of what you pay for transmission and distribution. These costs cover the wires system and electrical infrastructure, transmission lines, or underground cables. The transmission and distribution costs have a fixed component, which will not change regardless of how much electricity you use in the month. Solar can help with the variable component, which changes based on the number of kilowatt hours of electricity you use. There are many financial benefits to solar PV. However, it will not fully reduce your transmission and distribution costs. As we mentioned, there's that difference between variable and non-variable. It will not eliminate administrative or local access fees. These are fixed costs that come from simply being attached to the grid, as well as administrative fees that cover issuing bills and providing credits. It will not impact your home or water heating charges, which are powered by natural gas for most homes in Alberta and can make up around 40% of your monthly utility bills. To reduce these charges, you could move towards full net zero energy use, or you could consider installing an air or ground source pump for home heating and cooling, or an electric water heat pump that your solar system can power. You can also look into installing a solar thermal water heating system, though these can be cost prohibitive for many. Your electricity retailer may also offer a solar club, through which you can opt into different electricity rates, higher during the summer and lower during the winter. This can be beneficial because it allows you to export electricity from your home to the grid at the higher rate when your system generates more electricity in the summer, and pay less in the winter when you're not generating as much electricity.
Now let's take a look at the three bills from the same household. They are from the Real Home in Edmonton 2021 to show the before and after impact of solar. So before solar, this household's total electricity charge was 173.44 for 1,106 kilowatt hour used from the grid. This bill also shows the distribution, transmission, admin, and tax charge comprised 93.59 of that bill, meaning 79.85 of the total bill was for the actual electricity used from the grid. After solar, the household is still a net consumer of the power from the grid in the winter. Just a reminder that this bill does not show the electricity that households consumed at the time of generation. It only shows the extra electricity that was not needed at the time of production and went onto the grid. So they receive a 29.48 cents for 353 kilowatt hour generated, and was charged 58.37 for the 699 kilowatt hour they drew from the grid. There's still a distribution, transmission, admin, and tax fee of 64.33. You can see this is a reduction from the pre-solar bill because of variable component. So the after solar bill equals the amount of electricity drawn from the grid, plus admin, transmission, distribution fees, minus kilowatt of electricity sent to the grid, for a total of 93.22. So even in the winter, when solar production is low, this household is saving about 80.22 on their winter bill compared to pre-solar winter bill of 173.44. Now let's review the bill after solar in the spring. This month, they are now a net generator and exporting more energy onto the grid than they are using from it. Again, the bill does not show the electricity the household consumed at the time of production. This household is participating in the retailer's solar club, so the electricity cost is much higher per kilowatt hour than it was in the winter. But since the electricity cost is higher in the spring, the credits are also higher. There is still a distribution and transmission tax admin fee of 62.85. But check out the credit they received because they received 219 bill credits for their solar systems generation. Their total electricity charge was actually a net credit of 23.84, which will be applied toward for future bills. This represents 197.28 savings compared to the pre-solar bill. If we average this winter and spring savings out at about $130 per month and assume their installation cost is about $15,000 after rebate in Edmonton, this family will have saved the cost of a system in about 10 years.
So we live in Alberta, so we frequently get the question, what happens when it snows? How does snow impact solar generation, and what can be done about it? The short answer is that you need not worry too much about snow. Snow will only reduce your annual energy production by 3% according to a NATE study. This is because the snow comes right around the same time of year that there is the least sunlight. Your installer will size your array to ensure that your generating potential in the summer months will balance out what you have to draw from the grid in winter months, factoring in snow and the longer night. So over the course of the year, your electricity use is net zero. Here you can see a typical bell curve demonstrating what energy production will look like in Alberta with a typical solar array over the course of the year. Yes, it's true, as this graph and the previous bills we looked at demonstrate, that you will be producing less energy at home during the winter months. But our solar potential is so wonderful in Alberta during the summer months that you can relax and just let it snow. It's generally not recommended that you try to clean off the modules yourself. Not only is getting on a roof risky, but you may damage the panel coatings or cells if you brush them off without the proper equipment or techniques. The solar panels have a reflective coating that, when scratched or scraped, lessens the effectiveness of your panel. The nice thing about solar modules is that they do generally heat up a bit faster than your roof would customarily, and so the snow will melt off of them faster than it would melt off of your roof without the solar panels.
If you're interested in solar panels for your own home, you can rest assured knowing that renewable energy and energy efficiency upgrades are home improvements that pay for themselves. Given that solar panels are warranted for 25 years and can last up to 40 years, they will be adding value to your home for quite some time and paying for themselves by reducing your monthly electricity bill. It's important to keep all of this benefit in mind when thinking about return on investment. Nowadays, a typical home install cost will be around $10,000 to $30,000 and take anywhere from 7 to 15 years to pay back, depending on the size and cost of the area, the amount of energy you consume, and what financing mechanism you have in place for payment. Installers should calculate this estimated payback time as part of the initial quote process. It's hard to estimate without looking at the particular circumstances because it can differ significantly from region to region around the province and based on the mechanism people are using to finance installation. Since the system will be sized to the current site electricity usage, homeowners can always improve upon the estimated payback time by further reducing their energy consumption. of performing energy efficiency upgrades after their solar installation has been completed. One additional important consideration when thinking about overall cost and payback time with solar is the property value increase. There isn't much data available in Canada yet regarding home resale value with solar, but recent research in the US indicates that homes with solar power typically sell for 4.1% more than those without. There is likely because a home with solar panels already installed will have significantly reduced the future electricity bills, which many home buyers appreciate. And because solar panels are typically warranted for 25 years and actually last much longer than that, there are a long-term investment to house. And you like to say the Solar Alberta, that PV is only home improvement that will pay for itself.
So although an installation of $10,000 to $30,000 is too much for many Albertans to afford, there are new low and no interest solar financing programs available to help. These options include talking to your bank about a low interest bank loan, line of credit, or mortgage add-ons. Most major banks have this offering, including ATB's solar financing program, Scotia Eco Energy Financing, TD Flexible Financing, credit unions, etc. BCIB in particular is offering financial supports for businesses investing in solar. They presented at our 2022 solar show, and a recording of this session can be found on Solar Alberta's YouTube channel. There's also the option of leasing to own that some of the larger installation companies in the province offer. These installers really want you to buy their product, so they make it easier for you. Additionally, in many municipalities around Alberta, SEEP is being implemented. SEEP stands for Clean Energy Improvement Program, and it is Alberta's version of a program that is often called PACE in other jurisdictions. It is property assessed solar or energy efficiency upgrades. This was made possible through recent changes to the Municipal Government Act. If a municipality has SEEP financing in place, then in those cases, folks need not put any money down, and they can begin to pay back the cost of the solar installation on a monthly basis with low interest rates, while at the same time recognizing the monthly financial benefits on their electricity bill that Alex outlined. Additionally, with SEEP, that monthly payment will be passed on to the next homeowner if people move before they complete the payments. SEEP is currently offered in Leduc, Devon, Rocky Mountain House, and as a pilot in Edmonton. I believe Athabasca also recently launched their SEEP program, and it's anticipated that Calgary will be launching theirs this week at their Calgary Climate Symposium. New SEEP programs are also expected in the near future in Canmore, St. Albert, Hinton, Okotoks, Grand Prairie, Lethbridge, West Loch, Sturgeon County, Sterling, Drayton Valley, and beyond. We'll be learning more about the Calgary SEEP program, as I mentioned, at their Climate Symposium in October. There might be some additional costs associated with a solar array. If your roof or electrical wiring need to be upgraded, replaced first. In some cases, for example, in the case of SEEP, these can often be partially included in the financing. Check out myseep.ca for the ever-growing list of municipalities adopting this new program. Additionally, there's the Canada Greener Homes Loan. This is a new zero-interest federal loan rolling out now along with the grant, the Canada Greener Homes Grant. You can pay this back over a 10-year period. More information can be found by searching Canada Greener Home in your search engine. Other than the SEEP financing and the new Canada Greener Homes Loan and Grant, you would also likely be interested to hear that there are still some municipal solar incentives available in Alberta. The City of Edmonton, Medicine Hat, Town of Banff, and Town of Canmore are still offering rebates.
Now that you know all the things you need to know about installing solar, let's talk about how to find someone to do it for you. The one-stop shop for finding a solar installer in Alberta is a Solar Alberta website, solaralberta.ca. On the website, you will find both Alberta Solar Map as well as a directory that lists over 132 solar install business members. There, you can read about how many other systems various companies have installed and how long they have been in business. It's good to get some sense of whether they will still be around to follow through on any repairs that are needed during the workmanship warranty period. On the website, you can also submit a request for proposal quotes. We recommend you secure at least 3. You will want to have a look through the codes to determine how long the warranties are for their products and their work, and what their practice is for maintenance. Inverter warranty is usually from manufacturer for about 10 years. The modules themselves are typically also manufacturer warranted for 25 to 30 years. And also workmanship warranty are often for anywhere between 2 to 5 years. We also recommend you to request reference proof of insurance. We also recommend you that installer who are connected with you through Solar Alberta help you with finding some financing. The financing questions can be addressed in a wide variety of ways that many installers are well versed on. Also, please watch out for a few potential red flags, such as if an installer tells you you will be completely net zero or you will never pay utility bill again. Remember that the solar can make your net zero from electricity point of view. It's unlikely that your home will not consume any natural gas. If the installer is making false claims about you being complete net zero, then this could be an indication they're not very knowledgeable about home energy use. Also, as you know from our bill review, it's not true that you will never pay utility bill again. You may receive credits in the summer months that offset many of the costs in the winter. But as we have discussed, there are some fixed costs that you cannot get around. And there's also significant variability between winter and summer months. Use caution if engaging with the installer who suggests that will never pay utility bill again, because those assertions are in fact too good to be true. All right, that's all we have in terms of presentation for today. I'd now like to open the floor for questions.